Bag. I want the bag. Work my way from a garden to a track. Flip it from a track to a plot full of acres. Do it for the farmers and the producers and the makers. What we even here for? Occasionally I ask it. I know it's more than struggling, anticipating the casket. Reap what we sow, trying to fill up my basket. Life's a plantation, I self-law and master. Over the plot I've been granted on this planet. Now it's slanted, cause the chosen been supplanted. But if you overstand it, it was spoken. Fractured, but we ain't broken. Even though some would rather play the role of token, we growing. Black through the essence of our presence. We carry the blood of gods, we carry the mind of peasants. Rich black gardens, future look more like Eden. Multiply seeds like the seed banks in Sweden. Rep my planners on plan according to season. B1 code, switching it up is treason. Black power, family what we eat. Either we get fed or we feed. B1AG.
What is growing on? What is growing on? What is growing on? Welcome back to B1AG. I'm John Henry Harris. We have Farmer Brown, the MC. Here at B1AG, we focus on Black agriculture as it pertains to agricultural production, education, marketing, health, food, nutrition, and economics, all for the Black family and for the Black community. Welcome back. The USDA. Now, what they've done, if they've announced that they're spending another $100 million in funding from the American Rescue Plan Act to leverage hundreds of millions more in lending through community and private sector lenders to expand meat and poultry processing capacity, as well as finance other food supply chain infrastructure. Now, this funding is well needed because our food security has been tested and challenged because of the pandemic, as well as of just supply chain bottlenecks. This is why we've seen empty shelves on stores and lack of, just the lack of visibility of products that have normally been there. But we do question the USDA launches guaranteed loans initiative. But for who? Will this money reach melanated farmers and producers? Will this money strengthen the food security, the food structure systems in our communities? We're going to take a look at this today. Farmer Brian MC, what say you?
First, I'd just like to say peace to the B1 family. Hope everybody's doing well. Peace, Brother Lockridge. This seems like this continuous loop. And so for those in the ag community, I know a lot of people are aware of the Pickford and Glickman lawsuit. And this was known as Pickford 2. For decades, Black farmers said they were unjustly being denied farm loans or subjected to longer waits for loan approval because of racism, and accused the USDA of not responding to their complaints. The original Pickford lawsuit, named after North Carolina farmer Timothy Pickford, was filed against the USDA in 1997 and settled 2 years later when the government compensated Black farmers left out of the USDA loan and assistance program. And this was for $1 billion. More than 13,000 farmers were able to provide proof of their claims and of discrimination were awarded $50,000 each and given debt relief in a package that was $1 billion. Now, this was awarded in 2010. This is when President Barack Obama was still in office. Mind you, the claim was brought forth in 97. Black farmers have been fighting for justice, fighting for some sort of legal help long before 97. But we also know during Reagan's time that the civil rights wing of the USDA was shut down. And so it was when President Obama was in office that some of these Pickford and Glickman settlements were awarded. $50,000 to about 13,000 farmers. That was 2010. And so we fast forward to today, and we've been talking about this all year now. They had the the Debt Relief for Farmers of Color Act. Still haven't gotten this money. And so I guess, the optics of it, the aesthetics of it, the USDA launching this guaranteed loan initiative, it makes you feel good. It gives you this other inkling of hope that maybe there's going to be some sort of reciprocation or some sort of restorative justice. But I think this is definitely another conversation that we might want to go a little deeper into, family.
Now, this $100 million of funding is a part of the Build Back Better initiative. Now, this plan, they want to invest $4 billion to strengthen the resiliency of America's food supply chain while promoting competition. That number $4 billion sticks out to me because that was the amount of money that was awarded to the Black farmers or farmers of color during, for debt relief, which they still have not received. So it makes me wonder, okay, that money that y'all set aside for this debt relief for farmers of color, are y'all just redistributing it to other causes? I think that very well may be the play. But from the USDA's press release, they say through this program, USDA will use $100 million in funding from the American Rescue Plan Act to catalyze millions more in lending available for working capital, facilities, equipment, and other investments. These are the investments and loans that farmers of color, Black farmers, have been locked out of for decades. Now, this money, this $100 million, is to be used, is guaranteed loans that will help to start up or expand entities in our food supply chain that aggregate, process, manufacture, wholesale, or distribute food. Also to address supply chain bottlenecks and also increase the resiliency of the food supply chain.
So there's an estimated 17,000 to 20,000 farmers of color, which is a very vague term, that were expecting their debt to be erased when the Congress passed the Emergency Relief of Farmers of Color Act in March. It was one of the biggest pieces of legislation for Black farmers ever passed, authorizing $4 billion that you're speaking of under the American Rescue Plan to forgive 120% of USDA loan debt for farmers of color. The payments, and this is from the grist, the payments were supposed to be made in June, but since the act is passed, at least 13 lawsuits have been filed across the country claiming reverse discrimination and racism. As a result, 3 injunctions stopping the payouts have been issued, and the money has been in limbo ever since. Now, many legal experts say it's unlikely the debt relief will be paid out as originally authorized. I learned a lesson from my nephew, Julian. He's a lot older now, but I remember I used to, I'd pick him up and spin him around. I spin him around, he'd get dizzy, and it was funny watching him trying to walk when they were dizzy. But he taught me a life lesson one day. I did it once, he was dizzy. I did it the second time, he just sat there. He waited till he gained his bearings, and that was wisdom. That was wisdom. You can only get spun around so many times before you put 2 and 2 together. Like, okay, there's a desire reaction that you who are spinning me around wants, and that desire reaction is something is comedy to you. You like seeing me spin around, and as the kid who's getting spun around, like, hey, this isn't cool. So I'm just gonna sit here, gain my bearings, think this out, and then I'm gonna get up and move. When we have this B1AG conversation, we want to think about what does this movement look like? How do we push this Black AG-Orithm? How do we come up with the code to where our melanated farmers aren't waiting for some sort of help? If the help comes, this is great. Shifty. I couldn't have worded it better. Peace, Sister Sherry. Shifty. And so, you can only kick this can down the road so long before, as a group, you realize, okay, maybe y'all aren't really going to give me anything. When y'all did give $1 billion to the Black farmers in 2010, it was only about 13,000, which isn't bad. Anybody that's gotten any sort of help is good. But 13,000 out of, say, 44 to 50,000 specifically Black melanated farmers in North America is the drop in the bucket, because you realize that everybody within that group has been discriminated against in some way, shape, or form. You know, some people's issues aren't going to be as hard as others. There's some farmers, you know, they've been in a few more generations, you know, have more profitable crops. And so maybe this discrimination and racism hasn't hit their operation as hard as others. But in my professional experience, the majority of melanated farmers are witnessing debilitating racism. Loan programs are good, right? You know, for those that can pay them back. But, you know, to put this in perspective, when we're thinking about principle, not principal, but principle, the principle of, okay, I've discriminated against you. I've undermined your operations. I've kept you out of being competitive for decades. But now I'm dangling over your head. I might loan you some money. I'm going to give you some guaranteed money. I'm going to loan you that you're going to have to pay me back with some interest. But I've been taken from me 100%. I've been 100% been taken from me. But then my solution to you is I'm going to give you something that you're still going to have to pay me back. And so as a B1 family, it's like, to avoid this constant spending, what are we able and willing to do as, you know, a community of people to eat just like every other community, to make sure these farmers aren't getting spun around like this? Because you can only deal with this so long until your operation goes bankrupt. You can only deal with this so long before, okay, I got to get out of the business because I can't afford to operate.
Can go into some infographics that you can go ahead and
So think about it. And so the Pickford and Glickman farmers, we get these statistics from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics and the USDA. So I encourage the family to fact check us. I wish that these were wrong. But when we think about farms that generate more than $50,000, this is what those Pickford, the few 13,000 Pickford farmers were awarded, 50,000. That's only 13,000 of them that got this. But when we look across the landscape of farmers who are actually getting any sort of revenue, we see that the white farmers, 96% of them generate $50,000 or more on their operations. 50,000 being average. You know, some are like multi-million dollars, some aren't doing too well, right? When we go down to the melanated farmers, because here we're having a B1 discussion, 0.5% of melanated farmers are generating more than $50,000. When we think about the concept, Neely Fuller, justice is providing help to those that need the most constructive help. This isn't being disparaging of other groups. You also hear on this infographic, you have the Hispanics represented at 2.4%. But, you know, many of us, I know here in Kentucky, I'm around Hispanic communities, and I'm not disparaging of any other group, but they're codified. They'll shop with each other. There's been more Hispanic grocery stores opened up in central Kentucky in the last 5 years than, you know, I've been here pretty much most of my life, and we still don't have one. In the middle is your Native American. Once again, there are bills that have been put forth for Native Americans, and we're still trying to separate the $5 Indians from the Aboriginal. So that's a whole nother conversation. And then when you think about the next one is 1.2% of Asian farmers. And this Asia, you know, we like to look at Asia as just China, but this includes the Afghanistan people that's coming over. Asia is a large country. But once again, you know, they run most of the business. Asians are actually the highest represented in the STEM sector. When we think about opportunities, the Asians early on, especially China, they got a crime bill immediately written in when the current administration got into office. Protections. We're going to throw y'all some money because people are picking on y'all. People are accusing you of something, so we're going to immediately come in and protect. Land ownership. So when you look at the melanated family, 1.4%. There's 1.9 billion acres in North America. This is the 48 states, 48 contiguous states. Melanated family only owns 1.4%. And this is of all land. This isn't necessarily even agriculture. This is just all land, 1.4%. When you break it down to agriculture, it breaks down to about 0.52% of revenue generated when it comes to the melanated farmers in this $1 trillion industry that we call agriculture. Go to the next. Land distribution. Sometimes seeing is believing. Like I said, I encourage the family. I wish I was wrong about this. I wish that I'm just delusional. I wish that I was just, oh, you're race baiting. You're looking for a reason to be angry. You're divisive. Hey, numbers don't lie. And so when we think about this loan forgiveness, when we think about the USDA making these loans available, think about when Trump was in office, the pandemic first hit. We know the white farmers got 98% of all of that relief. I think black farmers, when you're fighting through the field of all of these other groups that keep getting thrown into these bills, it makes me think of the Farmers of Color Act. Black farmers always not just get the short end of the stick, they barely get the tip of the stick. And so, it's enough of looking at these images because I'm trying to stay out of my emotions, bro. But here at B1AG, we like to talk about solutions. We really like to be solution-based. But to come up with a solution, you got to know what it is that's going on. I was talking to my partner this morning. This is a very cutthroat industry. Some people, we see the advertisements of, farmers on their farm have the cute little family with the tractor. Oh, we're just making healthy food available to you. That's cute. That's needed. But when we get to the nuts and bolts of how this industry operates, you have to have capital. You have to have capital. I can click like on my phone, my iPad, or whatever all day. Oh, black farmers get this, black farmers get this. None of these black farmers are getting anything from us just saying we like something. Oh, this is great. Yes, yes. What are we willing to do as a melanated family that eat every day? Most of us eat every day. What are we willing to do to make sure that these black farmers, specifically black farmers, are getting some relief? Because loans, like I said, we're dealing in, there's a lot of climactic issues happening that's affecting people's ability to produce, whether it's the droughts, whether it's excessive rain, floods, a lot of unexpected ecological issues that you can't really plan for. And then our farmers are also dealing with systematic things going on that are impeding their ability to just produce and compete. I think it's interesting that within this bill that they were talking about, we want to make people more competitive. And so if I'm a team, you remember the Patriots, they got caught in, I forget what it's called, cheat gate or whatever, where they were looking at the other players' teams. If I'm a team that wins 98% of the games, like always, and then it's been figured out that, y'all been cheating. My team's been cheating. We've been 98% of the time, but we've been cheating this whole time. Justice to me seems, if you want to create this competition, I don't have any position at the USDA. I'm an extension agent. I give research-based information to stakeholders. But if I was the USDA and I really wanted this competition within this country to create the best food system, I would be beating down the doors of these black farmers who've been discriminated against and proven to be discriminated against. I would be beating down their doors to give them money, give them grants. Not loans. There's a difference between loans and grants. Loans, you got to pay back. Grants is, hey, here, do what you need to do. I think this is very interesting. And like I said, I can't help but think about my nephew in the constant spin around.
I definitely agree with you on they should be beating down the doors of these black farmers to give them grants. And not only as a form of reparative justice, it's just that this country this is the point where the country needs our black farmers to produce more because of these climactic issues, because of what's going on with the wildfires going out west. Those farmers are not able to produce. It's imperative that all farmers on deck, all shovels in the ground. You know they say all boots on the ground, all shovels in the ground. This is an all shovels in the ground moment in history of this country. If we don't grow this food, we are going to be subjective to, food squares and plastic rice. This is a flashpoint in American agricultural history right now. and we're not doing what really needs to be done. And that's putting these funds directly towards people who are already producers, proven, and let them grow, help them grow.
Dr. Boyce touched on this the other day. Peace to Dr. Boyce. So the Afghanistan refugees, I think they got what, 4 billion? They got 4 billion. It equates to how much?
There's that number again, 4 billion.
4 billion. These numbers, man, I'm not big in numerology, but I know there's a science, right? 4 billion. Why did I get this 4 billion, right? Because I came to your country, for whatever reason, and y'all helped us, translators, y'all were amiable to our soldiers, whatever. You worked with our government. You worked with us to do whatever human activity we was doing in your space called Afghanistan. And so as a reward, we're going to let you come over to where we're at. And upon touching these soils, we're going to make sure that you got something. We don't have to do these studies to decide now, do we give them something or do we not? We don't have to do all this research. That was a 20-year operation in Afghanistan. These black farmers have been literally, you can break down the numbers. What's 20 times about 4? So the amount of time that was spent in Afghanistan doing whatever was going on, multiply that times 4, that these black farmers have dealt with this discrimination. The black farmers have dealt with being undermined, being undercut. And so it literally takes decades at a time for somebody to decide, yeah, I'll give a quarter of y'all something. But somebody comes from somewhere else and it's not a problem. I'm immediately write it in. So with that, as a melanated family, and once again, when we have these conversations, it's one thing just talking about farmers, but this has every bit to do with, okay, when we're talking about reparations, the reparations is going to be in guaranteed loans. Because farmers, like I said, represent our producer class. If this is the type of business I'm going to do with your producer class, what am I going to do with your consumer class? Because the producers have leverage. They can create something. They can build something. When we're talking about creating a more sustainable, formidable food system in North America, farmers are the main component of making this happen. And so if I'm willing to let a significant amount of farmers who actually their ancestors built what we call a North American food system, not only the producers, but when we think about peace to the chef Mike Twitty, when we think about the food ways that we have in North America, a lot of the food people eat in North America, it was melanated hands, it was melanated minds, melanated culinary artists that created this. And we can't get a 10th, we can't get a 100th of what people, we just had a little 20-year thing going on with y'all, but we're going to give you something now. You have to question, family, where does this go? How long are we going to sit around and just watch this $4 billion ball get kicked back and forth before, as a melanated community, we take action? When we talk about planting a seed, when we talk about planting a garden, are we sitting saying that everybody should become farmers? Absolutely not. That's not what we mean. Should every melanated person walking Turtle Island or walking this land know how to produce food? Absolutely. Many of us know how to do math. Many of us know how to write. We know how to speak the conqueror's language. And so, when we think about the Most High and what put us there, the language of the Most High is producing. What do they say? The fruits. And so I think it would be upon all of us within the melanated community that care to make sure we at least know this operation. If not applying it to your own household, it's understanding the plight of these farmers. If you see the work that goes into planting a backyard garden, a balcony garden, you're planting your window, then I think each of us will have a better appreciation of what the farmers who are actually producing acres of produce, grains, livestock, poultry, we have a better appreciation of what they're dealing with. And then internally, we can kind of do the math of, man, I saw how much work I had to put in to making my plants grow just in my backyard. Now, what would this be like if I was trying to make this happen on, dozens of acres or hundreds of acres on top of, okay, I'm just trying to go to the store, get some seeds. And Lowe's, the hardware store, is telling me, well, I don't have seeds. Or I'm going to sell you some bad seeds. I'm going to the livestock, I'm going to the stockyards trying to get me some good cattle, but y'all keep giving me the worst ones. Y'all are giving me cows that get all these diseases and sicknesses. So now they're contaminating my field. So now I got to shut down my operation for a whole year to try to figure out why these cows keep dying on me. The point I'm making is, there's a knowledge when we say if you really want to know something, learn how to grow something. It expands your understanding of how we eat day to day, how we eat the salads, how we eat the burgers we eat, how we eat the fish. Every meal we eat has to be produced by a farmer at some point in time in this food chain. When they're talking about this concept of making it competitive, competition is good. If you have good competition, it means your legs get stronger. What I will say as a benefit to the melanated family, our farmers are very strong. The few 40 to 50,000 that have still been able to remain in this agricultural sector in North America, there's some very resilient people. There's some, whether you're coming specifically from agriculture or just business or as individual humans, these are like the icon of resilient people, because I'm literally getting cut down for trying to feed people. It's one thing, okay, you just caught me up, I'm trying to run these fake cards. I'm out here hustling, trying to sell you something that might kill you, might get you strung out. I'm trying to sell you food, and it's been worse on them than the people selling you poison. And so when we understand the process of growing ourselves individually, it not only gives you the internal understanding of what this process is, but it helps you to understand what does healthy food look like. What are the needs of these farmers? B1AG, we're just one voice out of I would say a couple hundred. Unfortunately, a couple hundred of voices in North America right now, really trying to beat the drum of bringing the melanated families awareness to what's going on with the Black agriculturalists and producers. This is a pandemic. We're talking about, global pandemics. This is a pandemic, because what happens is if our farmers get wiped out of this through loans, bad loans, benign neglect, who is going to have a vested interest in feeding you, family? Who profits off of feeding you if the melanated farmers are wiped out because they don't get the support they need from the melanated people?
It's very important information, B1AG family. Very important information. We do promise and stand on. We are going to continue to follow this story as we point them out. And we're going to point them out. You know what I'm saying? Until they cut the check.
We don't need no statues. We don't need no statues of John Boyd or the farmers. We need y'all to cut the check to these farmers. Cut a check, not debt forgiveness. I mean, that's cool for somebody who wants that. These farmers, the same way you would bring the refugees in who helped and whatever you had going on over there, these farmers have helped feed the nation. They need capital to run their operations. They don't need studies. You don't have to be a great mathematician to understand, hey, it costs to put these seeds in the ground. It costs to feed these animals. It costs to run water to my operation. These are real tangible costs. And so it is mind-numbing to me, all of this study. I'm going to pay y'all $1 billion just to study this. Come on, family. How long are we going to sit around and let this happen?
And it's like there's nothing to study. Just give the Black farmers what you give the white farmers. You know what I'm saying?
Simple as that. And it's not to say don't give them whatever, right? I get it. Farmer lives matter. I agree with that. But since we know the history and we know the obstacle that these Black farmers have had to deal with, it's not a secret. It's not a secret. It's not some mythical, oh, what could be possibly going wrong? Why aren't those melanated farmers able to earn more than $50,000 on that? It's not a secret. This discrimination. My great-great-grandfather wasn't able to access these loans back in, say, 1960, 1950 to keep an otherwise formidable farm operation going. But Brad's farm family was able to get it every time they went to the office to get one. Every time they went to one of these loan servicing agencies to get one, they got it. Like that. They weren't spit on. They didn't have their applications ripped in front of them.
They never had to go into their own personal money to make money. They were always able to make money off of the government's money. which is also key.
We don't need flags painted in the street, right? We don't need these aesthetic victories. You can take statues down, put them up. That's not putting any capital in the pockets of these farmers. You can pass this legislation. We can have these ceremonies celebrating that. Now I'm actually letting you come into this house of governance and talk about your grievance. That doesn't put no money in these farmers' pockets. What we can do is start reaching out to these farmers, finding these farmers, finding some of the social media groups that follow these farmers, Black farmers nationwide, Black-owned farms. And we can take it upon ourselves to figure out, hey, do you got a CSA subscription program? I got a team of about 20 of us in my office. You know, our office, you know, we're able to keep our jobs. And so we want to do a group CSA share. I have a football team. As a coach, we raise money to get pads and equipment for our kids. Can we raise some money to make sure these parents got some vegetable boxes going home maybe every 2 weeks? Fraternities, sororities, all sorts of groups. It's practicing group economics. You have to work with what you have to work with. We're not at a time and space where we can imagine what it could be or what it should be. We have to create what it is going to be. And to the degree that we do that, that's the degree of change we're going to see. We've never, and I will say on a positive, bright note, we've never had an opportunity to where so many people around the world, especially the melanated community, are aware of this problem. I didn't, 10 years ago, fam, you say Black farmer to me, I would have assumed it was just as many Black farmers as white farmers. It was not, I never thought about it. I was thinking about rap music. I was thinking about entertainment. 10 years ago, the thought of land. I know my family's got land in Louisiana, Mississippi. I would have assumed, hey, everybody's family got land. So there's a lot of assumptions that we have. But when you start breaking down the numbers, like the infographics we showed you earlier, we are, this is where the bag is. It's a $1 trillion industry, $1 trillion industry of feeding people. And to only be getting 0.52% of that bag, when we're thinking about building generational wealth, when we're thinking about entrepreneurship, when we're thinking about, during this pandemic, I was listening to a sister the other day break it down like, man, was this pandemic used to fire a lot of melanated people? And when you do the research, a lot of the companies that are championing, Black Lives Matter, we love these Black folks. These are a lot of the companies that's firing Black folks. And so once again, you can deal with how you wish it would be or how you wish it could be, or we can deal with what it is. And then either way it goes in the future, hey, even if the world didn't come to an end, we have created a formidable food system. We just like every other group around the world, they're going to support producers that look like them. I imagine in Nepal, they don't have to have discussions about Nepalese farmers. They just understand you grow something, I eat it. In Asia, they don't have an Asian farmers movement. They just understand this person where I live at within my forest, my ecosystem produces food, I eat it. Only in what we call North America, this corporation of North America, do we even have to bring this conversation up. One of the things that frustrate me, and I hate to prattle, but it eats at me because I see this on both ends. I get some of these emails, and then you have farmers that reach out to you like, well, where do I sign up? How can I get access to this? And the emails stop. You get the headline, you get, hey, we're doing this. We might have a workshop to talk about this. But when it comes to an actual action item, I'm left with, I don't know what to tell you. I can tell you this exists, but after that, I can't tell you where to sign up. I can't tell you when to offer it. I can't tell you when something's going to be available. You can't run a business like that. But as a melanated family, we know we eat every day. Are we saying that every Black person in North America has to, shop with a Black farmer? It would be great. That would be utopian, but that's unrealistic. But can we get a critical mass of us to be like, okay, there's a lot of things I want to champion as a social justice warrior, as just, a good Christian, a good Muslim, good, whatever it is you want to be. Farmers, it's not a religion. The religion is growing food. The religion is I take the resources from the ecosystem and I produce something that recharges people. Can we value that as a melanated family and make sure that we don't leave our farmers subject to to things like this.
Well said. B1AG family, like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Just a click of the button. We are trying to push the black algorithm while fighting against the algorithm. You'd be surprised that B1AG, the resistance we get from the algorithm, because we're talking about black algorithms. The way to overcome that is to like, share, and subscribe. Make this conversation bigger. Let's get more people involved in this conversation. And even more importantly, outside of the conversation, let's get more application of action, doing.
Bro, real quick. So sometimes I got time on my hands. And so I was going through the different, so I'm plugged into a lot of these online groups, black ag groups. There's a little over, and I'm being very liberal, there's a little over maybe 900,000 to 1 million black folks who are in these groups. And this is on all of them. So I think some of the largest groups maybe have 50,000 people in these groups. And so there's a little over 900,000 to 1 million. And, these in some of these groups, they have people from around the world. And so when we're looking at numbers, okay, 1 million melanated people are in these groups. And some of these groups will have some of the same people. And so the point I'm making when we're doing ratio, when we're being specific and codified, it's at least 44 million of us here in what we call Turtle Island, at least 44 million. And for only 1 million, and like I said, some of these people are on multiple groups. When we talk about pushing this black algorithm, maybe you're not wanting to get into growing. Maybe you're not really big on the whole agricultural piece, but the buttons you push on your phone, clicking like, there's more to, supporting the community than pushing like. But if that can help push this conversation, your influence wherever you're at might influence X amount of people who will take action upon this. But we really have to push this algorithm. People need to see themselves in this space. These articles are telling you, hey, there's this loan forgiveness, they'll deceive you. Hey, there's going to be this help, they'll deceive you, because what it'll do, it'll take you off your square. It'll make you assume that, okay, help is coming, so there's nothing I need to do. I can just scroll on past this and, who's sleeping with who, who done ran out on who, we have to make this a part of our culture. It has to be a part of our culture. There's, one of my frustrations, I ain't going to talk your head off today, man. One of my frustrations is seeing the opportunities in front of us. It'd be one thing if like, man, there's nothing we can do about it, but that's not true. All of these problems we're discussing on here, there's just enough people here in North America and across the melanated diaspora to affect this dynamic overnight, really. It could be done overnight. Like, is X amount of tens of millions of melanated people overnight going to be converted to start believing in the power of just working together around the codified mission of creating a food system? That's not going to happen, but it could. It's possible. And our hope here at B1AG is being a part of this bigger wave, because it is a wave with all of these shutdowns going on, with all of these supply chain disruptions. We're going to be put in a situation where we have no choice, family. And it's my contention that it's better to get on the front end of something than just being reactionary. But we have all the opportunity in the world to change this dynamic.
So everybody, please like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Like, share, subscribe. Let's grow this conversation. USDA, they're launching to launch, guaranteed loans initiative. to bolster, the food system, but we hope that this it would be nice, it would be productive if that money would definitely reach the melanated farmers, not only for the help of of the melanated farmers, just for the security of the country. The more you help those that need help the most, the more help is produced overall. You get more gains. You get more gains when you help from the bottom up than to keep feeding those who are misusing and misrepresenting and misspending at the top.
B1.
All day.
If this is something that can help you, take advantage of it. But let us not allow ourselves to be subject to the whims or whatever other people are deciding for us. We have every right, we have every God-given right to pursue a healthy food system for ourselves and our progeny.
So Farmer Brown, if the people really want to know something, get real knowledge, smarten up, what do they need to do, bro?
You got the red pill and the blue pill, but in this matrix, this ag matrix we speak of, pushing this B1AG-Orithm, if you really want to know something, take that green pill and let's learn how to grow something.
There it is. I'd like to thank y'all for tuning in to B1AG. I'm John Henry Harris, Farmer Brown EMC. Let's push this black AG-Orithm. Let's grow harder. Hope you have a wonderful day. Until next time, peace out.